Finally, we have here the 2024 Acura Integra Type S. I've been meaning to drive this car for a long time now, so I'm excited to bring this one to you today. The Acura Integra first came out in 1986, and since that time, there's been quite a few generations. This latest and greatest of them all is the 5th generation version. My favorite one was when the Integra was not even called the Integra. This was the Acura RSX from the early 2000s. That's the car that I really wanted at the time, this 200 horsepower zippy 6-speed manual. Then the Integra fell off the face of the planet, and finally 2 decades later, Acura made the right decision to bring back this beautiful Integra Type S. In my opinion, they did an amazing job with how they designed this car. It's absolutely stunning. This is an aggressive front end on the Type S with a giant Acura logo in the middle. There's a lot of sharp lines and curves on the hood, complete with a hood scoop that's actually functional to let out some heat. I also like how they have the Integra lettering indented into the body panel with the Acura lettering inside the headlight. The flared out wheel wells look great and adds to the aggressive look, except there's one area where Acura messed up. They did a nice job with the front wheels where it's nicely blended and it's a clean look. In the back, these are separate pieces that are glued on top, which doesn't look nearly as nice. Ultimately, what really makes this Type S stand out is the color. This is Tiger Eye Pearl, and when it comes to an Integra Type S, this is exactly the kind of color that it should come in. The Type S Integra is 1 inch lower than the standard Integra and looks so much better. The wheel gap is just right, and it's got nice looking wheels along with the red Brembo brake caliper. The Acura Integra Type S is the luxury version of the Honda Civic Type R. Let's just say that this is the grown-up version of one. The Civic Type R has boy racer looks along with the big wing on the back. This one is much more subtle and looks the part of the Acura Integra. And you have 3 tailpipes, which not only look good, but also sound great with some pops and crackles thrown in. The Type S wouldn't be a Type S without this. The amazing 6-speed manual and a 2-liter turbocharged engine, 320 horsepower, 310 pound-feet of torque. The standard Integra just comes with 200 horsepower from a 1.5-liter turbocharged engine. The inside is nice, has a premium feel, good quality materials. You have a center digital display, but the one thing that I really appreciate about this car is that the cup holders don't get in the way. You can see how deeply recessed the cup holders are, so as you're shifting the gears, you're not going to knock over your cups. Especially in a manual car where you constantly have to shift, this is something a lot of car companies don't get right, but Acura nailed it. You have some standard driving assistant technology, same as almost any other modern vehicle these days. Although this digital display is perfectly fine, they could have put in a little bit more effort to make the resolution and the graphics a bit fancier. These buttons are separated from the display, which is not a bad idea because you want to adjust the volume knob separately anyway. I like the steering wheel, nice and grippy, good size. I like that Acura has kept things pretty nice and simple to use, nothing overly complicated. The AC vents are imprisoned behind this grill looking thing. Standard door panels, nothing extra special about these. In case you can't remember how to start your car, Acura gives you a reminder. All digital gauges on the dash. You have a place here to wirelessly charge your phone. You can select your driving modes between Comfort, Sport, and Sport Plus using this. And these chimes sound like you're in a video game. It's something that Acura likes to do with their cars, I think. Nice visuals of the car as well as you flip between modes. The suede insert on the seats is nice instead of being fully leather. In the back, you can only fit 2 people and not 3 because of cup holders right here in the middle. Typically, you'd find cup holders in the middle, which you could pull down from the seat. In this case, though, it's right here. So I don't know why Acura decided to do this instead of putting maybe 2 rear bucket seats. So if you get this car, you're stuck to only fitting 4 people. You might not be able to fit 3 people in the back, but you can certainly fit a lot of stuff in here in the trunk. Plenty of room back here, especially with the seats down. A few years ago, I used to own a Honda Civic Si, and this Integra reminds me a lot of it. But of course, this Integra Type S is better than that SI in every possible way, as you can imagine. This is a nicer, more sophisticated version of the Type R. Acuras are, after all, the luxury version of Hondas. The Integra Type S is one of those cars where you just get in and immediately feel comfortable. It's very easy to drive. The clutch and the gears are super easy to operate. The most fun aspect about the car is the high revving engine. So you have all of that torque that's instantly available. So it doesn't take much for you to accelerate and just start having fun with the Type S. I'll tell you what, the tires are easy to break loose on this thing. 320 horsepower, 310 pound-feet of torque. With traction control off, you better know what you're doing so you can keep this thing under control. In today's world, it's just not that common to have a lot of fun 6-speed manual cars to drive. I drove a Toyota Supra and a GR Corolla, and I'm glad that we have this option, this Acura Integra Type S. Compared to the GR Corolla, this is much nicer, much more comfortable, but also quite a bit more expensive. The rev match feature in this is of course appreciated, but the weird thing is you can't turn it off unless you're in park. While driving, you can't switch the modes, which is really strange because both in the GR Corolla and the Supra you can do that. There are a couple things about this Integra which I wish were different. First of all, I enjoy lowering the steering wheel as much as possible to be really nestled into cars like this. But in this one, if I lower it all the way, it scrapes against my knees. And so I have to have the steering wheel a little bit higher up than I would prefer. So I wish the seat could be lowered, or I wish ergonomically Acura did a better job with that. And the second thing is the gear shift knob just doesn't feel that good. It should be a little bit more round so you can grip it better. It's a little too skinny. So when you're trying to shift between gears, the feel of it is not as good as it could be. It's nice to drive a car where you have real exhaust noise instead of fake noise being pumped in. 0 to 60 in about 5 seconds, but it does feel quicker than that. Maybe it's because it's just louder and noisier. Acura also did a great job of making the ride in this not so harsh where it's not livable. It's actually on the more comfortable side, and I think they've struck just the right balance with this. This Acura Integra Type S is not cheap at about $60,000. And for that price point, you could get a BMW 3 Series or an Audi S3, S5. But if you're thinking about long-term cost of ownership, this is gonna be cheaper because the parts will be cheaper, it should be more reliable, easier to maintain. And if you wanted to track this thing, you could, without it being super crazy expensive like a comparable BMW or Audi. So even though the Integra might be a little expensive to buy at first, it might last you over 200,000 miles and be your daily driver and track weapon all in one nice looking package. By the time you're watching this video, this car might still be for sale. Thanks to Covert Buick GMC for letting me borrow this one. They're constantly getting really cool cars like this in their inventory, so check them out.